Welcome back to another episode of Pain Points, where the world meets business. It's Darius Bell with my co-host Samson Jagoras. Samson, how are you? Oh, actually, Samson's not here today, so it's just you and I. We're going to do it a little bit different this morning. We're going to have a bit of a fireside chat, just you and your good old boy D. So, over the last few weeks, we've been touching on social issues constantly. I mean, we built the pod to talk about the world that entrepreneurs have to deal with, and what's happening socially is just part of that, right? We got government issues, reckless spending, porous borders. We got GameStop and government. We got so many different things. We got subtle and not so subtle infringements of rights. The list goes on. Being that this is a fireside chat, I'm going to let you in on something. Over the last year, I have just been asking this question to myself. What is the solution? Because there's content galore that talks about the problem. What is the solution? And I think I'm heading in the right direction in saying it's not a what, but it's actually a who. Who is the solution? You see, I believe that entrepreneurs, you and I, are the ones most capable of doing the necessary things that resolve some of the maladies, the plagues, the things going on in this nation. And it's not just my opinion. We're going to go back to the 18th century and see some evidence. So, America stands on the legs of two documents. The Constitution, which gets a lot of attention today, right? Especially in conservative media. But there's a preceding one, the Declaration of Independence. And there, I think, lies the clue to who needs to do something in our nation today. And so we're going to jump into it, and we're going to look at the very last line of the Declaration. If you haven't read it, go back and read the whole thing yourself. It won't take you long. Thomas Jefferson writes, on behalf of the 56 signers of this declaration, and for the support of this declaration, the Declaration of Independence, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. So, those 56 signers that Thomas Jefferson was writing on behalf of that said, we pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Who were they? Or what do we know about them? Well, as it relates to entrepreneurship, and you and I being business owners, here's what we know about them. We know that 17 of them were involved in land and securities, investments, and speculating. We know that 12 owned and operated plants, slave plantations or farms of some nature. And we know that 13 of them were businessmen and merchants. And so we see 42 of the 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence were business-minded individuals, people like you and I. That's nearly 3/4 of them were business-minded. So when they were writing those words, giving their support to Jefferson on their behalf, saying, we pledge our lives, our sacred honor, and our fortune, they were people who understood it, what they were doing. And so, just like they did, in order to establish and secure the prosperity, the liberty that we have and we benefit from in a capitalistic system as entrepreneurs, they were willing to sacrifice their lives, their sacred honor, and their fortunes. What does that mean? Obviously, you get the fortune piece. They were the ones who had the fortune. Robert Morris literally financed the Revolutionary War. George Washington. These people made sacrifices like you and I. But what do the other two things mean? Our lives, that's a no-brainer, right? Willing to die. And our sacred honor. Well, what is that? Well, a nation being rich in culture and history and honor, like Great Britain, they knew what they were doing for them and anyone else who bared each of their individual names. The shame, the actual the penalty, treason, right? And so we have a willingness to put my actual physical life on the line, my reputation, my family's reputation, our namesake, and my business. So when I'm asking the question, what is the answer? It's a who. It's you and I, the entrepreneurs. Now, what has been happening over the last year? Well, I've been unpacking the people that I follow. And before we press record, I made a quick list of just the people top of mind that I follow regularly. Here's just some of the people on that list. Gary Vee, Alex Hormozi, Patrick Bet-David, Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, Dan Martell, Ray Dalio, Sam Ovens, Tom Bilyeu, Sam Parr, Sean Purry, Nick Huber, Alex Lieberman, Justin Welch, Sahil Bloom, Michael Saylor, Cody Sanchez, Donald Miller, Dave Ramsey, Myron Golden, and rounding out the list, Jocko Willink. And I'm sure there's more. You have some that you follow, but you likely follow some of them too. Now, looking at that list and reflecting on the content that I consume and the books, the emails, newsletters, only 5 people on that list regularly or frequently will say something that even has the name, the word America attached to it, or will bring out a social issue, or will talk about the red flags that are coming our way on a macro level, and not just putting out business content to help me continue to grow my business and make more money. And I know there are people out there who are creators. They speak about the country, but none of them have the audience of the people that I list, that I follow, that likely you follow. And so why do I bring that up? Well, it's because when I look at content today, I look at the business world. I'm in the meetings, I'm in the conferences. I think many of us have been duped into thinking we're just going to be able to build our own little moat, build our own little businesses, our own little systems in which we're protected. I got my gold, I got my Bitcoin, I got all of this. But not understanding that the attitude that secured the platform on which you stand was one of, I'm willing to sacrifice the business, my life, and my honor. And I think we've been duped into building our moats and just focusing on us, not understanding that this system that we have is built so that others can have a shot at prosperity. And so I ask, can you benefit from a system and not help preserve it? Regardless of if you have success or not. That is the question we as entrepreneurs, as business creators, as business people have to ask. Are we going to be willing to put our skin in the game? So Darius, are you calling these people out? I'm not calling these people out at all. The likelihood of them seeing this is low, right? We're not even in the same category. But as I look at those entrepreneurs, with 5 of the 20 or so that I named being willing to speak on it, I know there are others who do. Those are the entrepreneurs who are shaping the thinking, the current thinking and the future thinking of entrepreneurs. And so they have a high degree of influence. Hence, I follow them. You likely do too. And so the point of it is this: as business owners, business creators, are we going to be tempted? Are we going to fall into the temptation to only build the thing that benefits us while the system, the environment, the culture, the organism around us breaks down and we split off and have our own little moat? Is that enough for you and I? I think that's a real question that business owners, business creators, entrepreneurs who are creating business content, we have to begin to ask. Are we going to continue to play neutral? No one's saying you have to have an opinion like we have on the show, but are you going to continue to only play the success game? What is true success to you? Because the founders of this nation, who were business people just like us, thought that the success was actually in being willing to sacrifice our businesses and our fortunes in order to secure the liberty for them and their posterity. That includes you and I. So are we going to do the same? Or are we just going to focus on our own little thing, drink from the well while everyone else runs dry? If you're an entrepreneur, there's 3 things you can do. 1, obviously, you can be starting your own operations that are focused positively on the interest of this nation being upheld, the values, the mission, the vision, the creed, all of that sustains this republic. You can do that. But maybe you don't want to do that. That's okay. The second thing you can easily do is start getting behind the right businesses and the right people. So maybe you don't want to run for office. Maybe you should. But maybe you don't want to run for office. But it's time for you to start supporting the people that are. It's time for us to start supporting the businesses that are on the front lines of preserving this republic. That's what it means to sacrifice your fortune, i.e. Robert Morris. And then lastly, if you're creating content, it's time to bring some things about this nation into the discussion. Keep giving the tips, keep giving the game away on how to build a successful business. But you got to start speaking up, especially if you have any level of influence like the people on that list. You got to start speaking up. It's time. It's time we start having these conversations, even if we don't agree, even if we're uneducated. We have to start creating the spaces and putting our money where our mouths are on social media, on podcasts like this, in our newsletters. We are the ones who understand risk. We are the ones who understand chaos and going through uncertainty, delayed gratification, going for things that we may not see right now. We're the ones most poised to do this. Not the current people we're sending to Washington, and not the current people that are in many of our state and local positions. Much like the founders, we're 3/4 business people. We have to be those people. And so I leave you with that.